Hey, what's up, cats? Before we go too far here, no, I didn't total my truck. We'll get to that story a little bit later here. It was a decent day for the end of October. It's been rainy. From the time we got back from camping, it's rained. And today was a good day, so I took the day to winterize our RV trailer. Got an antifreeze in it, put the tarp on it. It's set for the winter. No more camping this year. It's just weather's just going to get crappier from here on out. Anyway, the story for today isn't going to be about riding a motorcycle, obviously. I would have liked to ride it today, but it was pretty time consuming with the RV thing. Now it's late afternoon, and I'll chat with you guys for a while, and then I'm going to head in for dinner. But I wanted to tell some stories today about my truck driving days. You know, whenever you have a job, one of the things you like to do is advance yourself. Maybe some of us do, maybe some of us don't. I wanted to advance myself though, and you know, I started out as a grunt at the bottom of the barrel, and as I worked my way up, one of the things that I often saw that I wanted to do was to drive the truck. You know, I was always down on the ground with a shovel and a rake, and here come the guy driving the truck sitting up there all high and mighty, and I thought, man, one of these days I'm going to be driving that truck. Well, the day finally came, and the boss says, Mark, I want you to take truck number 28, and I want you to go get a load and bring it back, and I'll tell you what I want you to do with it from there. Oh, and Johnny, go with him. Well, Johnny was a seasoned truck driver, and he was usually the one doing all the hauls, so he was going to kind of show me the ropes, show me where to pick up the load, and the whole thing. So I was pretty eager to go. I jumped in that truck, fired it up, and Johnny climbed in, and away I went. Well, we probably didn't go very far. A few miles down the road, and we came to this intersection, and Johnny says, take a right, and we're going to go up the hill. And there was a big, twisty, winding hill that went up, pretty steep grade. So I put it in low gear, and I started going up the hill. Well, once you know, I got all the way to the top of the hill, and that truck started dead in the water. Oh my goodness, man. I hit the clutch, hit the brake, and I got on the ignition, and I'm turning. No, it just wouldn't go. Well, Johnny looks over and he says, did you check your gas gauge before you pulled out of the garage? I looked down, and it was on empty. I was out of fuel. I was like, oh boy, I'm in trouble now. He says, well, we're sitting on this hill, and their cars are starting to line up behind us. And Johnny says, I'll tell you what. He says, I'm going to get out, and I'm going to make some room behind you, and I want you to swing your wheels. I want you to go over in the other lane, and you're going to back all the way down that hill to the bottom and then swing into that side street. He says, after I get to traffic, make sure the traffic doesn't get behind you. He says, just get over in that other lane. He said, then I'll jump on the running board and just hang on to the mirror and ride on down. Well, I think he was a smarter one, knowing far well that without the engine running, there was no power steering, no power brakes, and I was going to have a real job on my hands getting that truck down off that hill. So I put it in gear, and he says, you know, kind of ease on the clutch a little bit. The engine brake might help to slow it down a little bit. And I was sweating nails pretty much. I was able to swing over and get it in that other downhill lane. And you can't look behind you in a truck. All you can do is use your mirrors. So I'm using the mirrors. I'm wrestling that steering wheel, and I'm standing on that brake pedal, and I'm pumping that clutch, trying to get that engine to, slow me down. And Johnny stayed on the sideboard all the way down, but I think he was ready to jump anytime he had to if I were to lose control. Well, thank the Lord, made it to the bottom, and I swung into that side street there. Everything was safe, everything was good. He says, well, you're going to have to call the boss. So I got on the radio, and truck 28 to the boss. And he says, go ahead. I says, yeah, I'm going to need about 5 gallons of fuel over here at the intersection of whatever. Long pause. And then he says, Roger. Click. I'm like, oh boy. Johnny shakes his head and he goes, man, you're going to be in trouble now. I said, yeah, I know. Well, the boss got there, didn't say a word. You know how bosses are, just looking all gruff and mean. And we put all the fuel back in the truck. We got the truck started right up, no problem. And then he says, Mark, get in my truck. Johnny, take the truck and go get the load. Well, that was the end of my truck driving day and days after that. In fact, I think it was about a year before I ever got to drive truck again. When I did get to drive truck, I got the crap duty. I had to haul trash. Well, we didn't have any refuse trucks or anything, so we hauled trash in the dump truck. So you had to go down to the bin where all the trash was stored, and they would let it pile up until there was a couple dump truck loads in there. And then the guy would come down with the loader, with the yard loader, and he'd have to load the truck up with trash. And once the truck was loaded, then you had to put a tarp over it. You couldn't run down the road blowing trash all over the place. We didn't have any bungee straps. You just had to tie it on with baling twine and then head to the county landfill. I don't know if you've ever been to a county landfill before, but it's a surrealistic place. Really bizarre. But I pulled in there, and you had to pull up on the scale house and get weighed and see how much trash you have on your truck. And then you have to drive back this long dirt road all the way back. Well, in the summertime, because of all the refuse trucks going in and out of the county landfill, that road just becomes like talcum powder, like dust. So these huge volumes of dust are blowing up. And, if you get caught behind a truck in front of you, you're going to be eating dust, a lot of it. We finally get back to where the landfill cap is, the main area where they dump the trash. There's no road there. There's no lines on the ground to see where you're going. You're at the mercy of these guys that operate these huge landfill machines. And they're like a bulldozer, but they have these big steel roller type sheep foot wheels on them that crush the trash and smash it all up, and they keep bulldozing it over and eventually cover it with dirt. Well, as you pull in there, the guys on the machine, they'll open the door to the cab and they're yelling at you at the top of their lungs. You can't understand a thing they say, but you got to watch because they're pointing their finger, and you'll just hear, okay. I'm a young guy, and I'm nervous as heck. First time I've ever been there, scared to death, and I'm pretty sure he said back in over there and dump. So I spun around, and I'm backing up, and I look up, and he's sitting there in the cab, and he's waving me back, keep going, keep going, keep going. Well, I'm backing up, and all of a sudden I hit this hole, and the whole back of the truck goes down, and I'm looking up at the sky, out the windshield. Well, I looked in my mirror, and the trash was going like this. It was like a big water pocket of trash, and I don't know what. And the whole rear end of my truck was down in that water. And I thought, oh boy, I'm done for now. Well, I started to climb out of the cab, and he waved me, just get back in. He says, he spins around with this great big machine. Now the blade was big enough, it was bigger than my whole dump truck. And he came up behind me, and he put just a corner of that blade under the bed of my truck, and he picked that whole rear end of the truck up and shoved me out of that mire. I was looking down at the ground, and got me out of there. And then he says, just go ahead and drop it right there. So I dumped my trash. And not so easy that you just tilt the bed and dump the trash. You have to get out. You have to undo all the baling twine, pull your tarp off, fold your tarp up, put your tarp in the truck, in the cab, and then dump your load. And if you know anything about dumping a dump truck, when you have a full load of trash, it's not going to slide out under the gate. No, you have to pull the upper pins and flop the gate down on the chains and tip so everything comes out. Otherwise, you'll have it jammed up under the tailgate. If you're a dump truck driver, you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, lessons I learned about my days of truck driving. Wasn't so glorious of a job as I thought it was going to be. So although through my career I did drive truck quite often, there was other people that were really well suited for that better than myself. Now you want to know about the truck that got totaled. Well, there was another fellow that worked there, and his name was Mark too. And his job order was to go pick up a load of sand. So he had to head up to a gravel pit that was quite a few miles north, probably about 20 miles north. And he picked up the load of sand, and he was coming back. Well, he was on his way back through town. I imagine the speed limit there, I think, was probably about 45 miles an hour, and I don't know how fast Mark was going. He had a full load of sand on the back of his truck. And as he's going along, and this was the story as it came from his mouth, he said there was a small station wagon that pulled out in front of him from a side street. He didn't want to hit the car because he knew that it wouldn't have turned out good at all. So he swerved the truck to the left and went all the way across the center line, all the way into the oncoming lane, and actually went off the road onto the berm. Well, the berm was kind of soft there, and when he cut the wheel to come back into the lane, the truck kind of drifted, leaned, and rolled. I think the truck rolled about 3 times, and it ripped the bed right off the truck. Sand went all over the place. The cab of the truck, the roof of the cab was smashed all the way down level with the doors, and the wheels were ripped off. The truck was just in pieces all the way down the road. Well, you'd have thought Mark was dead, but no. When the police got there, Mark was walking down the side of the road. He didn't know what happened. He said, all I remember was that car pulling out in front of me. And after that, I don't really remember anything. It just happened so fast. So thankfully, Mark didn't even have a scratch on him. I don't know how that happened, but the truck was just completely destroyed, totaled. An amazing... It's just amazing that he wasn't hurt or killed. So that's my truck driving stories for you for today. Like I said, no motorcycle story for today. I got plenty of other stories. I'll come up with some more as we go on through the winter. We got a long winter ahead of us. I'm going to have to dig some stories up from the cobwebs of my brain up here and share them with you. Anyway, thanks for watching. Thanks for all you guys' support. And if you haven't, give me a thumbs up on the video. Tell me that you like it. And tell your buddies about it too. And have them take a look at this. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel. And you won't be disappointed. We'll keep you entertained with lots of great stories. So until next time, cats, I will catch y'all later.